We're excited to get going. It seems like practice starts earlier and earlier each season. I mean, you got to wrap up your recruiting before September now because you can't get out on the road anymore. At least I can't. But we're fired up to get going and start the season. So with that, let's take some questions.
You guys were in a fairly similar situation a few years ago, going in the 14-15 season. What are the differences you have seen from this team compared to that year going into the year? What do you think stand out to you?
Yeah, well, I try not to compare. Coach Mo's got a great saying: "Comparison is a thief of joy," and that's true. But that team had some exceptional things go on off the floor with injuries. So there were some parental illnesses that just kind of threw us a whack. But I would say overall, this team has great practice habits, has great workout habits. I'd say we're just further down the line on what an expectation looks like. The 2014 team was such an upstart, and this team, has been put together in a lot longer form. It feels like.
How have you seen them appreciate those expectations, or kind of?
It's interesting. These guys just work. They really, you don't see a lot of variable in them in terms of, last year you go on the road in the NIT, now we're going to show you. It was like, we know we didn't make it. We're going to make it this year. We're going to keep working. They've got great habits that way. They show up every day, work their tails off, and compete really hard.
How much of that is driven by those three seniors?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, that you look, Glenn's been through a whole bunch, and then you've got Isaac that's been through a lot, and especially with injury, and Palmer. That's, when Palmer came, James, the only thing he really lacked was like what I called pro habits. Just every day showing up and working to get better and understanding what's going on, and he's been remarkable in that shift, and so. I think those three have a lot to do with it, and I don't think Isaiah Roby's far behind either.
Get some leaders that are lead by example guys. Are you still kind of looking for that one?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll get a voice. I think we're going to have a collective voice. I think the guys are great friends off the floor. That helps. I think they take a lot of pride in coaching each other, between reps and practice or whatever it might be. But I don't know that we're going to have an alpha out there just taking charge. And that certainly concerns you because you want a player-led team. And I do think they do, but quite frankly, it's not like, Tran Petaway, I love that guy, and he would just threaten you if you were like, hey, you're going to play better. And you did. And so that was awesome. I've had other guys like that, and I've had other guys that were, they looked at themselves as leaders. And I think these guys view that as a collective effort.
Have you ever had that before?
Yeah, I can't. Off the top of my head, I probably can't give you a specific example, but it worries you. Let's just put it that way. But at the same time, this is such a rock-solid group, it doesn't worry me a lot.
Who's the closest? I mean, who comes closest to being that?
You always start with your point guard, Glenn. And Glenn's been through so much more with us and with me that I think that he gets it. He's been in the Big Ten longer than anybody else, too. I think that's important.
You talk about Glenn, like nobody wants to win or succeed when he does. Obviously, he's kind of been up and down. What do you hope for him this year?
Well, yeah, I hope we can exceed expectations because there's nobody who deserves it more than Glenn. He's a I tell the story, and I've told this before, that, this summer I was out in the Western United States, and he came back on campus, and, he texted me, Coach, I'm on campus, I'm here. And, that's always nice to see, that they let you know that they're getting back from their 3-week or month-long break. And then the next day he texts me, he says, Coach, I can't wait to lead this team and take Nebraska basketball places they've never been before. And I literally almost cried because, that just meant so much, to me, knowing what he's been through, seeing teammates leave, just the whole thing, and then having a really excellent season last year, but having it really go not where we wanted to go, didn't, go where we'd hoped to go. And so, and that's a disappointment in a way, but at the same time, he was the first kid in my office after spring break saying, what can I do to be better for this team? And wasn't worried about playing time, wasn't worried about his role, how many shots he was getting. He was just wants to win and wants to be right in the middle of it. Pretty cool stuff. Glenn's a great kid. I'm so proud of him.
How are you guys health-wise?
Yeah, Carrington Davis is still nurturing some mobility, hip mobility, some strength. He's got a clear, he had a hip problem, which kept him out most of last year. As we've got him, he had one leg was considerably weaker than the other. We're way closer to where we need to be, but we're not where we need to be. Isaiah Roby has been, he hurt his heel, and he hurt the fat pad on his heel. I'm not a doctor, right? So whatever that is, I think it's that part between your bone and your skin, right? So, and then we thought he re-injured it, but it turned out it was more like plantar fasciitis. So we've just shut him down, and we're going to bring him along more slowly too. He'll be in reps, but he's a guy we got to take care of.
Tim, talk about expectations. Do you guys talk about that as a team in terms of what people think of you? Because this is different.
Yeah, I've been on the hook, for 3 years, so they just can't get me in the boat. So we don't really talk about any of that. We just show up every day, do the best we can, keep building, to go forward. And, we really, all we've talked about is how to make this collective group better. And I think this team can be really good. We tried to put together a schedule that challenges us. And, I think we've got the things in place that get us down the line. We've got Creighton and Seton Hall at home. We've got at Clemson, which is a bigger chunk than Boston College was at home. We don't have Kansas, for a non-conference game, but we do have 20 league games. And then we're in Kansas City with Missouri State, Texas Tech, and Southern Cal, which we'll get at least one of those. I think we took Northridge, who made the NCAA last year, as a bye game, which is always a risk, when you've got a NCAA team coming in, in the middle, and when no one's around, stuff like that. So I think it should be enough schedule to get us where we need to go. But I don't think anybody really knows how the new metric is going to figure out. So I don't know. And but I do think that we work hard. We consult with a lot of different people. And we think the schedule is going to be tough enough. But last year the league let us down. Just had too many, 4 or 5 teams that fell at least 50 spots in the RPI can from where they were predicted to be. And I don't think that'll happen this year.
Tim, with the loss of Jordy, does that put Brady on more of a fast track than you would like him to be?
Put who?
The loss of Jordy.
Put who on the fast track?
Brady.
Oh, Brady. Yeah, it does. He's doing fine. He's a kid that came in, and when I recruited him, I said, Brady, I don't think he realized he was the first high school kid in 20 years to get a scholarship in Nebraska. We were happy to, I was happy to have him. And he's very mobile, quick to the ball. And I said, Brady, here's the deal. Everybody in the world is going to tell you, oh, you're going to Nebraska, you got a red shirt. But I'm not going to tell you that. I said, I want you to prepare like you're going to play. And if we get to November, whatever, 5th, 6th, and it's time for you to redshirt, we'll make that decision then. So he's worked very hard to improve his body and do some things. And you don't flip the switch, but you get a little better and a little better and a little better. And he could, it's almost, I would say, almost a certainty that he'll play.
Coach, Isaiah was saying that.
Go ahead.
Isaiah was saying that a big key this year is for the team to figure out what their identity is earlier in the season. Curious what you think about that.
Well, I think that last year we could play a whole bunch of different guys. We could play a bigger lineup. We could play a smaller lineup. Some lineups could hedge screen and roll or defend screen and roll better, which is a huge part of the game. We were never a great rebounding team. Jordy did help us with rebounding. That'll hurt us in defensive rebounding. But also, we could put a mid-sized lineup up there. It was extremely hard to guard and was very good defensively. Not great, but good from where we need to be. So, getting back to all of that, to me, I think last year as we kind of experimented around and tried to figure out who fit in where and what lineup could work. You had Dubio KK, Jordy for big guys. You could play Roby 3, 4, or 5. Copeland was coming off back. At this time last year, Copeland, remembers, only standing and shooting. And now the guy's going up and, you can throw it off the side of the backboard. He'll catch it, windmill dunk it. And, it looks like he's 18 again. So I think I know who we are. They know who we are. We don't have as much depth as we did last year, so things got to go right. Foul trouble, illness, injury, stuff like that. We got to stay healthy. But we know who can do what. We know what play package works for who. We know what problems we're going to have on defense. So I think that some of that's already taken care of. And so that's good. So you look at the last part of last year from January on, I think we knew who we were and what we were best at, and I think we know that going in this year. There's no experimentation.
You mentioned with Copeland and finally being healthy for a full offseason. Where can he kind of grow his game a little bit going into this year?
Yeah, some of the things I think he needed to get better at were playing in isolation, just a one-on-one play. His jumper is a lot better. So, for instance, last year, the last 10 games, I think he made at least 2 threes a game at about 40-some%. He looks like he's continued that trend in our workouts. So I think his shot's much better. I still think he needs to play in isolation better. But, Glenn can really play that way. Palmer can really play that way. We've got some young kids I really like. We talked about Brady, Amir Harris, Thomas Allen, Nana Kenton. Our guys are going to step forward that I'm looking forward to. I think those are all guys that can help us play a variety of positions too.
Thomas and Nana both said last week that they were humbled by last year. What have you seen over the last maybe couple of months that maybe they've taken some steps forward?
Yeah, just I think showing up every day and with a different mentality. Thomas and I had a great conversation last year after the game or after the season. I brought him in and I said, Tom, I said, what do you need to work on? And he said, oh, well, my left hand, using screen and roll, and, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what was your best game of the year? What are your 2 best games of the year? And he goes, well, Kansas, definitely. And he goes, probably Michigan. I said, oh, so your best games are against 2 Final Four teams. I said, I don't think your left hand needs work. I think your mentality needs work. I mean, because you were obviously ready to go those 2 games. So what that tells me is you can compete against the best, but how do you bring it every day? Yeah, Thomas and Isaiah Roby, I'm going to get them 2 Batman costumes so they have an alter ego. You know what I mean? And so they can put the Batman on, and now I'm Batman, damn it. I'm going to go play great because, they're just, I don't know what Batman's real name is. What's that cat's name? That dude. And because that's who they walk around like every day. Clark Kent, I know. Superman's a little heavy. But, that's what we need out of those 2. Anything else for the good of the order? He is on scholarship, yep. He's been on scholarship since last Christmas. Santa brought it to him. I don't know if you know that or not. Thank you.